And I think for me now, as I've got older, it's really important for me to tell my story.
On this episode of Moments in Music, you'll get to know a familiar face even better.
It can't all be about CO2 cannons and confetti chops, right?
Starting out as part of Defected's street team in Ibiza, to fronting our radio shows and headlining some of the world's biggest clubs and festivals.
I wasn't brave enough to talk about my past before.
Growing up as a girl racer, her love for Tina Turner.
You can be homeless, suffer with mental health, and you can be in toxic environments and still come out the other end and be actually really successful.
Moments in Music.
Welcome to Moments in Music, a podcast by Defected, hosted by myself, Monki, where we'll get to know our guests through the records that define them. Expect familiar faces, legends of the dance floor, and unexpected characters who just love music. Please welcome the First Lady of Defected Records, DJ, producer, label owner, and broadcaster, Sam Divine. Hi, Sam.
Hi.
How's it going?
All good.
Fresh from Australia.
I don't know about fresh.
You look great.
Thanks.
Got your nails done.
Thanks, got my nails did.
Yeah.
Well, no, they're desperate for some infills. This is the thing, as soon as I get home, I've got to like put my hair in, my nails, my lashes,
Have you done it?
get a sunbed. No, I haven't actually managed to do anything. I managed to like actually unpack this time. I've got a new
Well
thing
done.
now
Yeah.
when I get back from tour to
Yeah.
just unpack everything straight away,
Yeah.
wash everything, and then just, get it back in the suitcase ready to go again.
I have started doing that as well this year.
Yeah, I've never
Game
used to do that.
changer.
I used to think people were weird to unpack straight
Yeah,
away
yeah.
after a holiday.
Yeah.
Be like, just enjoy being home.
Yeah.
But now it's like, essential. But I'm in the country now for 10 weeks and that's not happened for a really, really, really long time. So
Yeah, you've had a busy summer
it's been nuts.
and full on.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Thanks for being my first guest.
Of course, I'm so excited. Congratulations.
Thanks.
With the new podcast.
Cheers.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about sort of pivotal moments in both of our lives.
Yeah.
We're going to do it together, this one.
Yeah, cool.
Let's get into the first one for you.
Yeah.
Tell us about this first one, Tina Turner.
So, rest in peace, Tina Turner. I had her first album when I was 7 years old. I mean, growing up in my house, there was always music on in my house. You know, I've got really, really fond childhood memories. I mean, there's not a lot that I remember about my childhood, but I definitely remember there was always music on in the house, in the car, constantly, you know, always filled up my house with music, you know, when my mum was getting ready. And my first ever album was the Tina Turner, I believe it was called Steamy Windows. And I just had like a little Walkman. I used to listen to it in my bedroom and used to take my Walkman to school. And I think that was a real big turning point of music for me as well, because I used to listen to the top 40, as probably many people did, and stop and record. So I didn't have any of the talking or like the announcement from the presenter. And I just used to make mixtapes. So that was probably from the age of 8 or 9, I was making mixtapes.
You were a
in my
DJ when you were
bedroom.
8, practically.
I know, literally. But then as I kind of say that, like loads of people did that aren't DJs. I'm like, okay, maybe I wasn't as cool as what I thought I was. But yeah, I remember, you know, saving up my pocket money from my mum and my dad and going into Woolworths every Saturday and spending it on CD singles. And I guess that's kind of, I mean, going back now, you know, going into vinyl stores and saving up all my money to buy vinyl, it's always been music related. I've always been around music. You know, my parents are into music, but they're not musicians or come from a musical background. So yeah, that was kind of like a big turning point for me, collecting albums and singles and CDs and tapes and making my own tape packs.
Yeah.
And then getting into school, it's like I used to make boyfriends mixtapes
No way.
of like 90s R&B.
That's how you were on the pool. You
I know,
making
yeah,
mixtapes.
literally. Have a mixtape.
I think I probably still did that into my teens, to be fair.
Exactly, like luring them
Yeah.
in with a mixtape. You will love me.
Like messaging within the song.
Yeah, literally. But then telling a story on these mixtapes as well, you know. And I think, you know, even today now when I do an actual mix or when we're doing the radio show, it's like Simon Dummer actually taught me, it's like every mix has a beginning, a middle and an end.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from a very, very early age of making mixtapes for boyfriends. So yeah, it's all had like a full circle.
So 8-9-year-old Sam listening to the Tina Turner album.
Yeah.
Where did you grow up and stuff? I actually don't know.
So I grew up in Weston-Super-Mare.
Yeah.
Or like a village outside of that in Yatton, because I went to school in Backwell. So yeah, Weston-Super-Mare, and I've still got so many fond memories now when I go back. You know, I just love getting in the car. My mum still lives on one of the council estates that we grew up in. All my family's still in Weston, so I've got really, really fond memories in Weston. And whenever I go home, I just kind of get in the car. I used to be a huge girl racer back in the day.
You mentioned this off camera.
Huge girl racer.
What cars did you have?
I had, well, my first ever car was a Mini Metro, black one.
That's a strong
It was
first car.
Yeah, my mum bought it for me. It was 600 quid. And one of my friends used to work in a tyre and exhaust place. Well, his dad owned it. So everyone that had really cool cars used to go in there and just pimp their cars out with like 20-inch rims. So I actually took a hacksaw to my car and like shaved it down and put 15-inch rims on it. And it was pimped out. But every time I used to turn the steering wheel, it just used to make this massive screeching noise. And sometimes I'd see sparks coming off the tyres because they just weren't meant to be on there. And then I got my first ever like proper car, was my Corsa GSI 16 valve. And I lowered it, I put 17-inch rims on it, I put a $4,000 sound system in it. And literally I used to cruise down the Weston-Super-Mare seafront, and the bass used to make my nose just be like, oh, it was so pimped out.
Have you got a photo?
Probably not. No, there wasn't camera phones when I was
but maybe
17. I'm ancient now.
My first car was actually a Vauxhall Corsa.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think it was 1995 Vauxhall Corsa, and it was also very done up.
Yeah.
Embarrassingly slow, and no power steering. But
it had
like a full body kit on it.
Yes,
which definitely made it slower.
Yeah.
And a massive exhaust pipe.
Yeah.
And
oh my god, big bore.
Yeah.
Big bore, yeah.
And it had white rims, which I'm pretty sure had glitter in.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, so I had an early midlife crisis, I think, when it came to cars. Yeah. And then I weirdly like swapped that in and got something like really safe. I think I inherited like my auntie's Peugeot 206 or something. Yeah. Grew up a little bit.
Yeah. You're an adult.
I'm an adult now.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I used to cruise around McDonald's car park, and just used to do laps up and down the seafront for like all night, every night, till I was probably, until someone set my car on fire outside my house.
What?
And I literally opened the window and I could see my car going up in flames.
Is this because you're driving up and down someone's driveway?
No, I think my brother hadn't paid a bill or something, so that's why. Yeah, my house used to get raided all the time. And
what do you mean? Your house
my brother was like in with wrong crowds,
right,
when he was younger, and yeah, my house used to get raided on the regs. They even my house got raided on like Christmas Eve and
by the police.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up?
It was hard. It was hard because I was like almost like a goody two shoes, if you like. And my brother, from a very, very early age, he stole his first car when he was like 13.
Yeah.
And he was in and out of prison a lot. He was like, he was in with bad crowds and taking a lot of drugs. And my mum was in and out of mental institutions as well, so I had to like look after my brother, and it's hard to look after, there's only 3 years between us. So
is he older or younger?
He's younger. 3 years younger. So I was in my last year of school, trying to finish school, trying to concentrate, do my exams, which unfortunately I didn't pass any of them because I just had a lot going on at home, visiting my mum after school in hospitals, and then visiting my brother in and out of prison, he was on remand for 1.5 years. I went up and visited him like every day. So it was tough. And that's why I probably, because I had so much trauma in my childhood, I choose to kind of bury it. And that's why music for me is I've got such a fond memory of my childhood from music. But kind of, I guess, from the age of 15 to probably 25, don't really remember any of that.
You don't remember
Not really,
that
no,
part of your life?
No.
That I've heard that is like a thing. It's like a coping mechanism, isn't
Yeah.
it? When people have trauma, they tend to like forget.
Yeah, you just
happened.
bury it. You bury it because it's really painful to go back there. You know, in lockdown 2020, I got myself a life coach and I was forced to go back. And it was very painful. And being sober as well, it was like having to go back there and deal with it sober. Whereas before, from the age of 15, you know, I took my first pill, got in with like an older crowd, and kind of that was my release. And I took drugs to numb, I guess, my childhood. You know, there was also a lot of fun times as well, but I guess in my head, I've just kind of chosen to just bury that. Because it's safer there. You know, I just want to remember the good times. But now having to go back and deal with those traumatic times and meet them face on and head on, and actually being sober to do that, I feel much stronger in myself, and I feel like I wouldn't change any of that. You know, I did my mental health first aid course in lockdown, which made me understand a lot of what my mum was going through. You know, she suffered with depression since I was 5 years old. My brother was a drug addict from the age of 13. You know, my dad did his best to kind of, you know, navigate through that as well. And I was homeless for a lot of that time as well, sofa surfing on various families' sofas, sharing beds with cousins. Yeah, it was a really tough, rough time. But I guess, you know, I've got so much empathy for people that are drug addicts. I've got empathy for people that have mental health problems. I've got empathy for people that have lost their homes, because I've kind of been through all that myself. But also, on the flip side of that is also proving that you can come from those living conditions and situations and still be really successful in what you do. And music, so many occasions, has saved my life.
And what made you revisit everything in lockdown?
I think I just wanted to get sober.
Yeah.
And, you know, all I was doing was kind of just laying over the top of everything. I wasn't getting to the root of the problem. Why am I drinking? Why am I taking drugs? Why am I so unhappy? Why do I not want to wake up in the morning? All these things. And I had to go back to the reasons why. And as a kid, no kid should have to go through that. No kid should be homeless at 14 years old. No kid should have to deal with going into mental institutions and seeing your mum on the floor screaming and kicking with people trying to put tranquilizers in her. You know, no one should have to endure of going to prison and being practically strip searched. And this was all before the age of 17, you know. So, but again, like I said, I put that now into a positive. It's made me a really strong person. I'm very, very, very resilient. And I've got, like I said, a lot of empathy for people that have been in that situation. And my thing is, you know, be kind to everyone because you never know what they've been through.
Yeah. I remember actually having a conversation with you in Texas. I think we were on tour.
Oh,
right?
Yes.
And it was just before lockdown. We did have tacos. We did have tacos, yeah. It was just before lockdown and things had not been locked down yet, but there was kind of like whisperings of COVID. But we were still in America. I think it was the end of both of our tours, maybe.
Yeah.
And we had tacos and then we played a party. And I remember around that time, I had definitely slowed down partying. I hadn't stopped.
Yeah.
And I definitely would still have a drink occasionally when I was DJing.
Yeah.
But I decided to take an active decision to sort of slow down. And we were having quite a meaningful conversation about it.
Yeah.
And you were definitely thinking about it at that point in time. And then I guess lockdown just forced you to.
Yeah. Well, while everyone else was, it's like drinking gin for breakfast. The only time that I would drink is actually when I'd listen back to my radio show on a Friday night. So I still kind of treated lockdown as if I was still DJing.
Right.
So during the week I wouldn't drink, and then it gets to the weekend and I'd be doing live streams or from home or, listening back to my radio shows. But it just got to the point where it actually really heightened everything, how sad I was in my life. Leading up to lockdown, I actually remember having a conversation with my agent, and I was so depressed. I was so unhappy that we actually cut down all my sets to an hour because I couldn't bear being in the club. I couldn't even bear listening to music was actually hurting me. It was hurting my soul. It was hurting my heart. It felt when I was it just didn't feel right. And that was a turning point for me. I was like, for something that I've loved for as long as I can remember was actually hurting me, and I had to do something about it.
Was it the environment?
I think it was the environment. I just think at that point I was probably partying way too much than I'd like to had admitted. Doing 5 seasons in Ibiza where you party every day for 6 months, then you get home, you're seeing all your pals, you're excited, you're partying every single weekend. And I actually, when I did 100 Days Sober in 2019, I couldn't remember the last time that I hadn't had a drink or done drugs for less than 7 days at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, a really, really
like
long
that.
time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, alcohol is a depressive.
Yeah.
Drugs, I was taking drugs because I wanted to numb the pain. It was my best friend. When no one else was around, drugs was there for me, and I self-medicated because it was either that or antidepressants because it was that bad. And I just didn't want to wake up in the morning. I felt like I had no purpose. And I think when lockdown hit, I felt very vulnerable, and also I didn't really know what reality was because I had toured solid for nearly 15 years.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a clue what was real and what wasn't. It was weird to have a weekend off. It was weird not to be in a club.
Yeah.
So I actually turned my house into a club and then partied loads for a bit, and then I was like, no, this isn't right. And I actually did try to take my own life. It was that bad.
Really?
Yeah, it was really bad. And Andy, my agent, amazing. He was like my guardian angel, and he was like, we need to get you help. So I tried NA meetings. Just wasn't for me. I was like, oh my God, like I'm bad, but I'm not as bad as some of the situations that are arising in the NA meetings. And I'd taken drugs for that long. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to go to rehab. But being the proud person that I am, I knew that I could kick it on my own, or with professional help. But I didn't want to go down the rehab route. I wanted to try if I could do it myself. And getting a life coach was just a game changer. He taught me to still be present in the moment. And it was painful being sober and having to deal with certain scenarios. But I got through it. And gradually that's how I started with being sober. And it wasn't an overnight thing. This has been a journey that I've been on since 2019. I've just completed 81 days teetotal, and it was, in the grand scheme of things, it was actually a breeze. And I've just learned so much of how strong and how much determination and willpower. I might not be motivated for other things, but motivated to get well and to just live in this kind of harmonic, peaceful space that I'm in at the moment. I feel like super zen and chilled.
And in that moment where you spoke to Andy and you're in a really dark space, and you decided to take on this life coach, what was like the beginning of that journey? What did it look like? And also, how scary was that for you?
It was so scary. I mean, I literally called Andy every day crying my eyes out. He was almost like my therapist.
He's a bit like that.
Yeah, he is. He's amazing. Like I said, he's like my guardian angel. But it was also, the biggest thing was actually admitting that you're an addict, admitting that you've actually got a problem. Because for so long I was like, I haven't got a problem, everyone does it. You know, you're thrown into these situations every single weekend. You're in a green room and someone's doing something.
In our industry,
you get paid to party, basically.
Yeah.
But that just isn't sustainable. You can't carry on doing that forever without this hurting and this hurting. And it was a cry for help more than anything. I was like, please, just someone help me. I don't want to wake up feeling like this anymore. You know, I've got so much to live for, and I just didn't want to live for any of it. So it was really scary admitting that I did actually have a problem with it, because I convinced myself that I didn't. Everyone else does it. So not everyone else is an addict. How can I be an addict? That means everyone's an addict. You kind of put all these barriers and all these excuses in front of you. So the only way to do it was to have the life coach. And gradually we spoke about, why are you partying? Why are you doing this? Then having to be really open and honest, not just with this complete stranger, but I was a stranger to myself. I didn't know myself anymore. I didn't know what I liked. I didn't know what I loved. I didn't even like music anymore. You know, so I had to retrain and rebuild everything again. And I think that's why now, you know, I say that I flirt with being sober, but my relationship with drugs and alcohol now is completely different. Completely different. And I'm so proud that I've actually done that on my own, with help of a life coach, of course. But this time round, I've done it on my own. And I just stopped. I was like, right, I just need to detox my body. I need to get fresh. I mean, I'm actually 2 years sober DJing now.
Sick.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I can totally take it or leave it now.
Yeah.
Totally take it or leave it.
How has it changed your perception of like the industry that we work in? Because obviously walking into a club at 3 a.m, just got out of bed and had a nap, completely sober, is just so different to like staying up till 3 a.m. with all your mates and everyone's having a party and this all very relatable stuff. Like how has it changed your perception? And also just talking from like a personal perspective, sobering up and working actually eventually made me love it more.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. It's just, for me now, it's like, it's unprofessional. You know, and I felt that when people pay a lot of money to come and see us play. So if we worked in a bank, we wouldn't turn up to work high. You know. And why do we feel that that's okay to? Because the booth, the club is our work space. I don't say that, you know, it's a job. It is still. It pays the bills. Anything that pays the bills is a job. But we're so highly blessed to do the job that we do, right? But I just felt, for me, it's like, people pay such good money to come and see us play. They deserve to have 100% of the best version of me. And I felt like I will always do my best and I will always give 100%, but I just felt like I drank mostly for nerves.
Right.
And I still get nervous now, like legit. I have to do like star jumps. That's what my life coach taught me. I have to do like a little bit of breath work, star jumps, and me and my partner go 1, 2, 3 birdies, and then I'm ready to go on stage. I saw you guys do that. It's like our little ritual that we do now.
When we played a show together in Cheshire, wherever it was, I saw you guys do that just before you went on stage. I was like, Sam, what was all that about?
1, 2, 3 birdies. Yeah, that's the whole thing. We watched the golfing tournament program on Netflix.
Oh yeah.
And we got it from that.
Okay.
So that's kind of like, I've got like my little rituals that I do now before my set. And my vibe is I turn up 20 minutes before and I pretty much have to leave straight afterwards. Or if I'm in a green room, and my rule is if someone repeats themselves for the 3rd time, I'm out of there. I am Audi 5000.
That is a great rule.
Do you know why? Because I end up looking at my best friends and going, I hate you.
Right.
Like, you're really annoying. So it's the only way that I can do it now. But I just kind of made a pact to myself, 2020 coming out of lockdown, that I was going to, or 2021, sorry, June 2021, the first festival back, I was just going to drive myself to all my shows.
Right.
You know, I bought the dream car, like the ultimate, the girl racer in me. And that's what keeps me out of trouble. And I actually really love being sober now.
Yeah.
I love it way more than I loved partying.
Yeah.
My only thing is that I wish I'd done it sooner.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. Because I'm a much better DJ sober.
Yeah.
I think I'm way more experimental. Whereas before you kind of clang, you don't really notice. But then the anxiety the next day, it's like I've left my USB, I've left my headphones. What did I say to that person? Going through my phone. It's just not, and then having to get on a plane and then go and do that all again. And then you're drinking on top of your hangover to get over your hangover.
Yeah.
And then Sunday you get home and you're dead.
Yeah.
And then your mental health, it's just a vicious circle.
I had this weird like moment when I wasn't partying as much, and I was almost worried that I'd like lose my creativity.
Yeah.
Because things weren't as wild.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
you know, I couldn't tell crazy stories.
Yeah.
And you know, especially being a broadcaster as well, right?
Yeah,
It's all
of
about
course,
stories. And maybe I wasn't hanging around with the right people as much.
Yeah.
And so I'd lose opportunities. And like actually the further along I've got down that journey, the more I've realised actually like clarity
Yeah.
and being organised and having a
Definitely.
routine
Yeah.
actually allows space for my creativity to thrive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas before I was just so caught up in this, I
it's
guess.
chaotic.
Yeah, it was chaotic.
Yeah.
But I thought that was part of being
Yeah.
like creative.
Yeah, no,
Which is so
absolutely.
weird.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very hard. It was very hard for me to get motivated to do anything. I was just living for the weekends so that I could like party with my mates or party with promoters, or, you know, I took it very, very seriously, but I didn't realise how unproductive that party. It's fun at the time.
Yeah.
It's amazing at the time.
Yeah.
And I do feel that you do create special bonds with people
Yeah.
over a brandy or over whatever. You know, I do feel that those, and they're the people that have been my friends for life. You know, I met all my girlfriends in Ibiza, you know, in the toilets at Hush. You know, now I go to the toilet, I'm literally in and out, get out, because everyone's just like drunk and they're
Repeating
just
themselves.
chatting crap, repeating themselves. Yeah, exactly. So I do feel, but at my age, I'm like, well, I've kind of met everyone that I want to meet now. I've got my crew.
Yeah.
You know, so anyone that I meet now is a bonus. And in actual fact, it's building even stronger bonds with the people that you did meet in the music industry over dinner
Yeah.
or meeting up before the show. It's not actually chatting gibberish in a green room.
Yeah.
You know, but I guess you have to. I wanted to give up partying. Before I would be like, oh yeah, I'm not really into it because it makes me ill. Like it makes my head ill.
Yeah.
Whereas now, like you said, so much clarity. Waking up on a Sunday and wanting to cook a roast, you know, I was just too hungover to do any of
Vibes
that.
now. It's vibes.
Massive vibes.
Yeah.
I absolutely love being sober. I love waking up and being like, even if I haven't got anything to do,
Yeah.
that's vibes, because I haven't got a headache and I don't feel sick and I'm not eating crap.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not preaching being sober to anyone, because everyone is on their journey. Everyone, you know, is their own person. But just for me personally, I've chosen life. You know, I feel like I'm a better daughter, a better wife to be, a better stepmom, a better friend. You know, I feel like I'm just a much better person for being sober, and it's just done wonders for my mental health. I haven't had, some days I still get sad. I think that's maybe
normal,
it's like
isn't it?
genetic,
Yeah.
like, or whatever. And there was a point in the summer where I had a big kind of burnout, but I know that wasn't due to partying. That was because this industry expects a lot from us, and we want to thrive and be the best versions of ourselves, and be 10-10 all the time. You know, I do the smile and wave, where you're dying inside sometimes, you know, but you can't let that guard down. You can't let people see you sad. So you have to, you know, be on top form all the time. And sometimes just doing that is actually really exhausting.
Yeah.
Of feeling like you have to be 10-10 all the time.
Well, it's performative, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like performing all the time.
Yeah.
Being on social media. And
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I'm not even complaining about it,
Yeah.
because we're so blessed to do what we do. But I don't think people understand how hard it is. They see like the the video that you put up, the big drop, the confetti drop, the CO2, and that's our lives. It's not. That's 2 hours a week sometimes, maybe 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
You know, it's everything that goes into putting the radio shows together, putting this together. You know, you've got your sport. I'm probably like the least sporty person ever. Like, you are like inspirational in that you've got your balance with sport, something that, like, I haven't got a hobby.
Yeah, which is wild. Isn't
Yeah.
it? Your hobby is music. It was music.
Yeah.
Now it's both.
I mean, my hobby now are like my stepkids.
Yeah.
Like, I love it. I hated kids. I literally, if there was a baby, like, literally, like, get away from me. Or if I'm on a plane, there's one behind me, I'm like, shh, you know, I'm just that guy. Whereas now I'm like, oh, it's okay, it's okay. You know, I really, really love being a stepmom.
And do you think you would have been able to have done that without the help that you got a few years ago?
No way.
Yeah.
No way. I doubt Matt and I probably even would have met.
Right.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I just think really good things happened to me since I've been sober.
Yeah.
In my professional career, in my professional life, and in my personal life.
Yeah. I've got to reel it back.
Yeah.
And talk about a song.
Yes. Let's do it.
We touched on your career quite a bit.
Yeah.
More the sort of latter stages.
Yeah.
Paul van Dyk.
Paul van Dyk, For an Angel. Oh my God. I used to be a massive trance head back in the day.
Yeah.
So the reason why I got into DJing is because a lot of my friends were hard house and trance DJs. Right. And I used to play at my local club. We used to have like guest DJs every single week. And then we'd go back to my pal's house. There'd be a set of decks in the corner. And I'd be like jumping on and just clanging so hard. But they'd be like, yeah, Sam, you're really good. And my friend worked in Tower Records at the time, in Weston-Super-Mare, in like, yeah, just off the high street. And I used to go in on my lunch break. I used to work in Vodafone on the high street. I only worked part-time. And I used to go into Tower Records on my lunch, and he just used to give me all the promos. So it's just freebies. And I'd buy a couple of records. Didn't really know what genre that I was really into. I was always into 90s R&B and hip hop. And I got into garage much later through a CD that EZ did that was on the front cover of Mix Mag.
Yeah.
When I first passed my driving test when I was 17, so that just got rinsed. So I was like hard house and garage, 90s R&B. I was into progressive house. And yeah, I was just collecting Trance Vinyl. And when I think I was 20, I got my first set of decks. I saw, but they were like 100 quid. And my mum had a shed at the bottom of the garden, and she wouldn't let me in the house. She was like, I'm not listening to that boom, boom, boom music. You can get out in the shed. And come rain or shine, I was out there every single day practicing. So I'd buy a few vinyls. And I actually worked in a call centre as well. And one of my clients worked for Locked On Records on the side hustle and for Virgin. So just used to send promos down for that. So like, yeah, it was just, I wasn't sure what I liked. I just liked what I liked, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I had my decks at the bottom of my mum's garden for 2 years, and I practiced my set every single day for 6 months. I entered a DJ competition at my local nightclub and ended up winning it, and got a residency at my local club. I was a junior booker at the club as well. And then I started working in a record shop. And my mum, after 2 years, let me in the house. And I had my deck set up on an ironing board. And my friend used to work at the local college. And every Friday night, she used to backdoor all the equipment, like mics, lights, couple of laptops, and we just used to set it up in my bedroom on a Friday. Remember MSN Messenger? Yeah. So we had it set up on MSN Messenger. We had like 10 listeners, if that, on our Friday night show. I can't remember what we called it, which is mad compared to what we do now with the Defected radio show. It's just
millions
nuts.
of people.
Exactly. And just that record was just always probably because I could mix it more than any of the others as well. So I used to play like the A side and the B side. I had two copies of it. And then I remember my first season in Ibiza, I went to, was it Skream? It must have been Skream or Cocoon. I can't remember if they had trance in the second room. But I remember walking into the club and walking through the dance floor, and Paul van Dyk, For an Angel came on, and I just started crying my eyes out. And I was like, what? Like, I wasn't sad. just euphoria of being so happy that it was so beautiful that it just brought me to tears.
What about that moment was so beautiful for you?
Probably very high.
It's amazing.
I know, yeah, exactly. But even now, like, it literally, if you put it on now and I cranked it, or I was in the car, it would bring tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, it just takes me back to that moment in Amnesia of just walking through the club and it just coming on and just seeing everyone with like it was glow sticks then.
What year was this?
Oh my gosh, 2000 it must have been 2004, 2005.
Yeah, so early noughties terrace.
Yeah, it was just a stunning moment. It's just mad how music can do that to you, right?
Yeah, it can really like take you back to a specific moment in time.
So specific. Like, I don't remember what I had for lunch, but I remember that in 2004 and it just being a really beautiful moment. Like, what was yours?
Well, I've got a few, but I think around. So, how old would you have been then?
Don't want to give my age away.
Early 20s.
Yeah, let's stick with early 20s.
Yeah. Skream, his remix of Roux going in for the kill.
Absolutely.
I remember exactly where I was when I heard it, and I was listening to just in my bedroom. I was listening to Annie Mac on Radio 1 on a Friday night, and I just remember being like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, literally.
And I just started listening to like late night Radio 1 shows, a lot of like pirate radio in South London. Rinse FM was still pirate at the time. And I was getting into music and understanding like the clubbing scene here in London. I wasn't old enough to go out yet, but I was reading like magazines and like, you know, it's when like NME magazine was kind of like still a thing, and reading blogs and stuff like that. And I heard that tune and I'd been playing with the idea of maybe trying to DJ, and I'd just been like on my mate's 1210s, like mixing hip hop and stuff.
Yeah, sick. Oh, you can mix hip hop?
Oh, I don't know if I could still mix hip hop, but I tried to.
Yeah,
I attempted to. Yeah,
slam it in.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, my first residency was a hip hop one.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, dope. Where was that in London?
It was at a club called Yo-Yo in West London.
Oh, sick.
It was this amazing club. It was like 150 people. To get on guest list, you had to message them on MySpace.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Get through Tom first.
Yeah, I saw Nas play there, mate. Yeah, I've seen some mad people play there.
Wow.
But I'd just play for an hour at the beginning.
How old were you then?
18.
Sick.
Yeah, and it was run by two A&Rs at the time, Seb and Leo. I think Seb was an A&R for like Sony or something, but so there'd be like a live act.
Yeah.
And then warm-up DJ was me or one of those guys, and then a live act, which all the A&Rs would come and watch.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like a kind of surprise. I saw like Dizzy play there, like Mark Ronson would DJ there all the time.
Oh my gosh.
I feel very privileged to be in London at that time.
I was going to say, yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, after I heard that remix, the next day, I quit school. I was like, I know what I want to do.
No way.
Yeah. So it was the Friday night, and on Monday I quit school.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm just going to go for it. And I didn't tell my mum for like 6 months. I was absolutely terrified.
Where did you have to go out? Like, when were you going to school?
Well, I didn't live with my mum.
Oh, okay.
I didn't live with either of my parents.
Yeah.
So I could just get away. Like, they didn't know what I was doing. Basically.
It's not like you were going out at 9 a.m. in the morning and coming back at like 4.
I wasn't going out in my blazer and dumping it in a bush. Yeah. No, I just wasn't going. I was just listening to like Radio 1 and like practicing on my mate's decks. And
oh my gosh! How did you support yourself in that time then?
I worked for my dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I told my dad very early on because I knew he wouldn't be fussed about it.
Yeah.
But my mum's like super academic. She like put herself through university, and so like her take on what is, I guess, like successable, like stable, was more of like a stable thing, right? It's like education, and that is like the Asian side of my family. But my dad is I'm probably a bit more like my dad, to be honest. Sporty, runs his own business, kind of is just a bit like
do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I knew that he wouldn't be too worried about it.
Yeah.
So I told him pretty early doors. It's probably just going to start an argument. So yeah, I just worked for him, and I worked at a paintball site.
Oh no way.
Yeah, like flipping burgers, and the days that we didn't have customers, I would just like help build stuff.
Yeah, wicked.
dig trenches in the cold and
For paintballing.
yeah, for paintball. So like all the barricades and stuff.
Oh yeah.
They're obviously made out of wood and like the huts and things like that. So I'd like help build them. And then on the weekend we'd have
very
customers.
handy then.
Yeah, I'm quite handy. Yeah, I've got a toolbox. Yeah.
I've got a pink hammer.
Yeah, and then I'd sit in this shipping container and fix paintball guns.
Oh my god.
For hours and listen to music.
Yeah, wicked.
And just like
makes everything go so much quicker, doesn't it, when you listen to music?
Yeah. And actually, though, that was what reminds me very early on of like the Radio 1 shows, because I'd listen back to them and I'd just like stick my headphones in and I'd be fixing Titman 98s, which is like a paintball brand. It's so weird. Like that's what I did for 2 years, from like 16 to 18.
Which is mad because you had a Radio 1 residency.
Yeah, when I was 21, so it was only 3 years later.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You were on there for a while now.
6 years I was on Radio 1. Yeah. It was.
That's how I first heard you.
Oh really?
On your Radio 1 show, yeah.
It is mad. You know what? The amount of people that have come up to me years later and been like, "Oh, I used to listen to your show." It's like mental because obviously I was 21, right? And I was like, "Oh my god, this is sick!" But I had no idea how far it reached.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously, when you came on to when you started for the Defected radio show, I was like, "Oh my god!" Monki. I was like, "Is this the same Monki on Radio 1?" Yeah.
So yeah, when I lost my show, these guys literally called me up and was like, "Do you want to come in, have a chat?" And they were like, "We love your show. Do you want to just do it here?"
Yeah, dope.
And I was like, "Sick,
yeah,
amazing."
Wicked.
But yeah, it was mad. 6 years on Radio 1 at a young age as well. I don't think I've really
quite a long
appreciated
stint
it.
as well, because it's like the residencies normally only last like 3 months, don't they?
Yeah, so the residency is what I started on.
Yeah.
And then there was some move around in the schedules because Annie Mac went on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Beat Traits had to cover Annie, and then Beat Traits slot came up.
Yeah.
And so I covered that.
Like a ninja.
Yeah. And then when Annie came up, a new slot became available and I basically went in there. But it was wild because like that was actually kind of all I wanted to do when I left school.
Was presenting.
Was to have a show on Radio 1.
Yeah, sick.
So when I got
it's a dream.
I didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, of course.
And I was like, I don't really know what to do now.
Yeah.
And I think I lost my way a little bit for a couple of years.
Do you think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you think that also with like the style of music that you were playing on the show dictate that for you as well? Like if you lost your way with, were you playing like the music that, did you have free reign? What I'm trying to say is like...
Yeah, no, I did because I was a specialist. So anything past 7 p.m, you basically got full control of the playlist.
Okay.
Everything pre like early morning breakfast to 7 was either part playlist or fully playlist.
Yeah.
So I was considered a specialist DJ, which means you get to play what you want, basically.
Did you play hip hop on it?
No, I did. No, I didn't play hip hop.
Yeah.
I played. So I guess a lot of people knew me at the beginning. I played like bass, grime, garage, house. I played like a bit of a full spectrum sort of thing.
Yeah, but you do that so well. Like when we did our back-to-back, like
at
you could just go from, I'm just like, oh, I can't do that.
But how fun was that?
So much fun.
That was I think that was my favourite set of the year.
That was so much fun. Like you were just literally just like slamming in garage records. I was thinking, oh God, when it comes round to me, what am I going to do?
I liked it though, because it's not a competition, but you just like...
It was a nice battle.
It was a nice battle.
It was a nice battle,
It was a friendly battle.
It was a friendly battle, yeah. There's no swords. It was just like batons.
Just bangers.
Yeah, literally. No, it was cool. Because if you started like going to a different genre, then we'd all still get 2 each to go on that genre.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was a party set.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because if you have like, it was cool that you'd switch it up again, or I'd switch it up, or Melly would switch it up. So
doing it
was
with Chrissy
good
as well. Like,
yeah.
Chrissy is a very good DJ.
Yeah.
And you'd just be like, oh, fuck.
I know, yeah. What am I going to do?
What am I going to do
I was
next?
like, why did I go after him? Or was I, I was on before you. I was like, oh no. Yeah, that was fun. I hope we get to do it again this year.
I know. I hope so too. Glastonbury, if you're listening.
Yeah, exactly.
We're here. We're here and available.
We are ready and willing. Hit up our agent.
The Angel Andy.
Yeah, Angel Andy.
Let's talk about your last record. Foxy
Yes.
Brown.
Get Me Home Tonight. You know what? It's one of them tracks where when it's on, it makes me drive really fast.
Okay.
And it just, be careful if it's on. And it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm driving back from a show. It's just, that whole album, Il Nana, was just, I actually bought the album again, and she was on the front cover of the Source magazine, and I managed to get it off eBay for like £5. She was like my go-to hip-hop artist, female hip-hop artist. And that record for me just brings back so many memories of when I first passed my driving test. I guess of having that freedom of just being able to jump in the car and go anywhere you want and not have to rely on the bus or your parents to take you. Like there's just so much. You feel like an adult when you pass your driving test, right? Yeah. And just, like I said, just having that freedom. And Get Me Home was around about the same time that MTV Bass started. And I was so gutted when MTV Bass got cancelled last year. Like legit, I wrote them an email.
It got cancelled only last year?
Yeah, it was last year or the year before.
You wrote them an email?
I wrote them a really stern email. Because I had listened, just saying like how disappointed I was. Because it was my go-to. All I'd listened to at home was MTV Bass.
Still?
Until it got cancelled, yeah. Like so many, when it first came out, so I was still living at my mum's while my mum was in hospital. So way before I went to, it must have been around when I was like 17 when I first passed my driving test, and it was just always my go-to. I never really listened to house music at home. It was always 90s R&B. And that album, like I know it lyric for lyric, back to back. I even like knew that I could recite, like the album covers, booklet. Booklet, I could literally recite it word to word. So just Get Me Home, it's just of that freedom of just jumping in the car. And it just had the bass line on it. It was just like, make my nose tickle.
It feels like music throughout your life's been like a massive escapism.
Big time, yeah.
And then what's it like for you now?
Do you know what I listen to in the car now?
Go on.
Spa music.
What?
Because it calms me. Well, it's not even meditation. I actually type in spa music. So if I'm going to go get my nails done, it's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
And I just listen to spa music in the car. Because it's not a distraction, but I have to listen to something.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like on the way home from a show, if it's not 90s R&B that I listen to, it's just silence. I just actually like that.
Yeah.
Just being in the car and kind of just being at one with my thoughts, because they're not, still a little bit crazy. I'm always going to be a little bit of a crazy girl, right? But my thoughts aren't as chaotic anymore.
Yeah.
They're not, I'm not overthinking things as much as that I did.
Yeah.
Or numbing them with things that aren't good for me anymore. So actually just to sit in my thoughts is, it's very calming.
Yeah, which must be so nice now.
So nice, so nice. And just, I know it sounds super weird to listen to spa music in the car, but it just keeps me on that. My vibration now is, it's not a low vibration anymore. It's about sustaining this vibration. Whereas when you've got mental illness problems, you're on the floor and nothing will bring you up, no matter if you listen to music, be around good people, eat well, sleep well. None of that matters. If you've got underlying mental health problems, nothing will bring you out of the gutter. Time will bring you out, and you have to get yourself out of it. So for me now, anything for the ultimate chiller, I'll smoke some CBD or just anything to chill me out, and that just really keeps my vibration around here.
I can relate a lot with listening to silence on the way back from a gig.
My ears hurt.
I
don't want to listen to any house music.
There's that too. Sometimes I'm like, actually I'm good. I'm just gonna sit here and have a drive home
and just drive. I love driving. I've always loved driving from being a girl racer, but when you get on the motorway and just finish a show, your adrenaline's still high, your dopamine's popping, all of that goodness, serotonin, which is all natural from normally when you put in fake dopamine in. The crash from that is quite chaotic. Whereas when you come down after a show, it kind of, you just come down in your own time to a nice vibration. So I love just getting in the car, just putting my foot down, and you kind of tunnel vision. Before you know it, you're home. And you've driven for 3 hours in silence, or you've driven up the road and Do you ever get that when you get somewhere and you're like, how the hell did I get here? I don't even remember like how I even got here. Like that's how calm I am now.
Yeah.
Like it's not.
You're like in the moment.
I'm just in the zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And whatever that looks like to get in my zone.
So thanks for sharing all of this, by the way.
No, of course. Do you know what? I wasn't brave enough to talk about my past before.
Yeah.
But I feel that, you know, if anyone else can relate, then I think it's really important to use our platform for goodness. It can't all be about CO2 cannons and confetti chops, right? You know, we're human beings.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
Yeah.
We haven't done perfect things in our life. Our lives aren't perfect. We're blessed, but they're not perfect. And I think for me now, as I've got older, it's really important for me to tell my story. And also, if anything, again, relating back to, you can be homeless, you can, you know, suffer with mental health, and you can be in toxic environments and still come out the other end and be actually really successful and do something that you wake up and love every single day. Because I've been doing this 22 years and I still love it. And I still feel like I haven't even unlocked my full potential yet. You know, every year I get stronger. And all we can do is just try and be the best versions of ourselves, whatever that looks like. You know, like I said, I'm not here to preach about not drinking, not doing drugs. You know, it's each to their own. This is just my journey, and I want to share that with people.
I have 2 questions off the back of that. One is, what does success look like for you now?
Yeah.
Given everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And how you've grown, like personally.
Yeah.
And how has that changed?
Do you know what? Success for me means being truly happy in your own skin. And I think when you're not happy, you're always thriving for something else. You know, I'm always looking, what's my next move? And I got so caught up in trying to be like the next artist, or trying to be like that person or that person, and my music's not good enough, and that. And all you're doing is you're creating something that you have no power over anyway. Right? So for me, once I stopped worrying about those things, and kind of settled into myself, and actually being sober helped me do that, because it's very crazy, it's very chaotic. You're always looking left or right and not actually concentrating and being in your lane. Once I stopped that, everything just fell into place, and actually now I feel that I'm successful, or that I've created that success because I'm happy in my own skin, and I wake up most days with a smile on my face. I think that is the success of life.
Yeah.
If you can wake up happy,
you're winning.
Then you've made it.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's a really lovely way to end things. I have one more question.
Tell me.
You get to pass on a record to our next guest. I'm not going to tell you who it is.
Okay.
Because I don't know yet. We're gonna try and physically buy the record.
Yeah.
And give it to them.
Okay.
What record are you gonna give?
I'm gonna have to say Frankie Knuckles' Tears.
Oh, great tune.
Yeah.
I'm waiting until someone just gives someone a rubbish one.
Did Mr. Blobby have a theme tune now? I'm pretty sure he did.
Why
you can make them get dressed up in the Mr. Blobby suit. I think, do you know what? I think for Frankie, rest in peace, he has been at the forefront of house since day one. And even in his passing, he still comes up in conversations now. And I think that is incredible to leave a legacy like he has. And for someone who was so prominent and at the forefront of house music and what he did for house music, I just think you always have to give mad props. Yeah. Always mad props.
Well, the next person gets a banger.
Yes. Frankie.
Thanks, Sam. Can I give you a hug? Thanks so much.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You can watch all of our episodes via the Defected Records YouTube channel, and you can listen back via all your streaming services.
Moments in Music.